First, I would like to go over and discuss the overview of what I'll discuss in this video. First, I'll be addressing what Signal does, what problem we solve, and then I'll discuss how we go about solving the problem, and then I'll follow up finally with a brief overview of the structure of the company and also a little bit about the company culture. Signal Sportswear is an apparel development and manufacturing company, and we work primarily with brands to develop technical functional apparel for specific sports or activities. The clothing needed for these activities usually has a functional requirement of some sort and has key features to facilitate the participation of those sports or activities. And these features, they'll be reflected in the fabrics, the trims, the cuts. Some activities we produce for include cycling, running, athleisure, fitness, yoga, outdoor, travel, as well as team sport and snow sports, skiing, snowboarding. So to discuss a little bit more about some of the features, for example, in cycling, you'll need a certain fit, an on-the-bike fit with a drop tail. With running, perhaps you'll want some lightweight fabrics that are breathable, and a lot of times the pockets will be more along the center line. For travel, you'll have clothing that has, again, you'll need a quick dry, something where you can wash it in the hotel room and hang it up and it'll dry overnight. So we're familiar with all of these key features. With our specialized knowledge of these requirements for the fabrics and the trims, that allows us to source and to produce these garments to the specifications that are needed. And in addition, we also are familiar with a lot of the risk factors that are involved with the different materials. For example, if you have a contrast color jacket, perhaps a black and white, and you call for a polyester and nylon fabrics. So nylon typically has a better color fastness, and polyester tends to bleed color. So then in that black-white combination, you would want a black nylon, and then you would want polyester and white. In addition, to prevent color migration, we'll add water repellency to the white just to prevent those sort of issues. So there's actually a lot of issues that can go on, and this brings me to my next point about how we go about solving these problems with technical and functional garments. So how does Signal go about solving this problem? Well, we really rely on a consultative development process, working hand in hand with our customers. So when we first start working with a customer, typically we'll really start to deep dive into the functional requirements for that sport. We'll ask all of the WH questions to really get a full picture about what is required in terms of materials and fits. To develop specific styles, typically our customer, they'll be paired with one or two merchandisers, and then at the beginning, the customer will provide us a design sketch done in AutoCAD, a bill of materials, a measurement chart, and then also send over some example fabric swatches and perhaps some trims. And at this point, we'll also discuss a little bit about what sort of direction the customer is going for, and then we'll take those samples of fabrics and trims, we'll go and we'll source some materials as well ourselves, and then send materials back and forth and have a discussion about what materials are working and what perhaps needs to change. Once the materials are decided, then we'll go ahead and make an initial proto sample, and then there can be a few rounds of proto samples sending back and forth. Then once all of the basic details and the costing is set, then we will confirm everything, confirm the schedule in terms of the timeline, and then after all that's set, everything's agreed upon, then we will go into bulk production, starting with the material production that gets sent to the factory, and then begins the cutting, sewing, finishing, and then after that's all finished, and then it gets shipped out. Now I'll go into a little bit about our company structure. Our headquarters is here in Taipei, and then we own our 3 factories, one in China, one in Bangladesh, and one in Cambodia. So having these 3 factories, and they each have slightly different specialities, and this allows us to have some operational flexibility and also allows for some risk mitigation. So depending on our customer requirements in terms of lead time and technical requirements, we can decide which factory to place the production in. And finally, I just want to talk a little bit about our company culture and some of our views. So collaboration is really a big theme for us, both in terms of the material side, the fabric and trim suppliers, and then also the customers. So a lot of customers that we've worked with for more than 10 years. And so then over time, we've really built an understanding and a real collaborative relationship. So the way we view things is that really we're part of a value chain, essentially takes raw materials and then transforms those into what become a memorable experience for the person who is enjoying that specific sport or activity. So this can be from kids playing in a playground all the way through to the Olympics. So some of the clothing we produce actually has been worn by competitors competing in Olympic Games. We've also had some of our clothing worn by cyclists competing in the Tour de France. Really for us, we view that we're really not just making clothing, we're producing something that's going to generate these long-lasting memories. So if you're someone who's looking to develop functional, technical clothing for a specific sport or activity, we think Signal would be a natural choice for you, and we can go through this consultative development process and work through what sort of garments would be appropriate for your sport and activity. So we would encourage you to contact us, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.